usually have it, or you can.
All right, good morning, everyone. Call the meeting to order. The agenda, any additions or deletions? Steve?
Mr. Chairman, under closed session 10.7, Halo Air Ambulance, Cypress County Emergency Services item.
Okay. That's it? Anybody else? Let's see, Lloyd's moving it with the addition. Vote. That's carried. Okay, I need a motion to open the public hearing. Michelle? Vote. That's carried. All right, public hearing bylaws 2410. Kayleen?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Bylaw 2024-10 is submitted by Adam Thompson on behalf of JBP Enterprises, Inc. to reclassify a 5.66 hectare or 13.98 acre parcel from Agricultural District 2 to Country Residential District 2. The existing title is 156.2 acres in size and is located within the northeast of 12-4 west of the 4th. If the land use amendment is approved, then the applicant's intent is to apply to the Municipal Planning Commission for subdivision approval to create two separate country residential titles. Property is located along Range Road 43, approximately 900 meters south of Highway 1 and 4.5 kilometers east of the hamlet of Dunmore. The proposed reclassification area will have no alternative but to gain direct and immediate access from Range Road 43, and the remainder of the agricultural title has an existing approach. The proposed reclassification area is currently vacant, while the remainder of the agricultural title contains dry land pasture. There is an existing multi-parcel subdivision located to the south, and there are no oil or gas wells within 100 meters of the proposed subdivision. If we could flip to the adjacent land use districts, please, Leslie Ann. Thank you. So primarily the surrounding area in green is agriculture, and just to the south there you can see the 5 country residential lots that are subdivided. And in addition, the proposed parcel is located outside of the Tri-Area Intermunicipal Development Plan. The South Saskatchewan Regional Plan states that municipalities are to identify their agricultural land and to limit fragmentation and conversion to non-agricultural uses. Under the implementation section of the plan, Section 5, Efficient Use of Land, it states that the land use framework promotes approaches to reduce the amount of land that is taken up by permanent or long-term development by utilizing the minimum amount of land necessary. Under Section 4.1.23, Subdivision Residential of the county's Municipal Development Plan, it states that the county may support the subdivision of an existing farmstead or single vacant parcel if the following conditions are met. The parcel is redistricted to the appropriate country residential land use. The country residential parcel conforms to the applicable country residential regulation in the land use bylaw. The applicant at the time of submitting the subdivision must comply with the Cypress County design guidelines and construction standards for both any existing farmstead as well as any proposed country residential parcel. The subdivision is created in a manner that it will not impact or hinder the agricultural use on the balance of the quarter section, and that all parcels have existing direct access to a road network or provincial highway. Because of the distance to Alberta Transportation's highway right-of-way, we've circulated to them, and they've provided the following comments. Pursuant to Section 618 of the Municipal Government Act, the Department expects that the municipality will comply with any applicable items related to the provincial highway in the Alberta Land Stewardship Act. And pursuant to the MGA, the Department expects that the municipality will mitigate impacts of traffic generated from developments approved on the local road connections. And at the time of writing this report, no comments or objections were received from any of the adjacent landowners. Our recommendation, Mr. Chairman, is approval, as the proposal complies with the agricultural strategy under the implementation of the plan of the South Saskatchewan Regional Plan, as well as section 4.1.23 subdivision of the municipal development plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Kayleen. Is there any questions for the planner from council at this time? Shane?
That is a high-grade road from Range Road 43, correct?
It would be classified, it is gravelled at that portion, and then further to the south in front of the multi-parcel, it's oiled surface.
It's not oil coming up that hill.
Correct. Gravel.
Because what's happening is, oh, I thought it was on, sorry. What's happening is, I know I'm starting to get a few more complaints where acreage owners are saying there's more and more traffic that these roads should be paved. I'm getting dust, I'm getting muddy. And so I'm just wondering about the road. If it will, what are the intentions? Will we have to be oiling it? Will they be responsible for oiling it, or dust control?
Dust control will be their responsibility.
Yeah, through the chair, once we get to the subdivision circulation stage, we will circulate to Public Works. They'll have opportunity to provide comment on the application. In terms of paving roads, the guidelines really don't trigger that requirement until we're looking at a multi-parcel or a grouped country residential. So single parcels such as this can have access off gravel, but will circulate to PW in any event. And as the Reeve mentioned, any dust control application, it would be up to the landowner to apply for that application and to pay the application cost.
And the paving on that would just be on an internal road, correct? It wouldn't be on our road.
If it were on an internal service road, the requirement would be to pave. So any subdivision that contains 4 or plus lots would be considered group country residential, and that would be the requirement to asphalt.
Just a correction on the oil portion. There's the oil portion from Highway 1 going up the hill. So just where it deflects there, that's the end of the oil, and it goes gravel south of there.
I thought it was gravel, oil coming up that hill.
Any-
Any traffic?
Any other questions for the planner? Keith?
To the chair, the rest of this quarter is just like dry land grazing?
That's correct.
Any other questions? Not seeing any? Are there any comments from anyone for or against this proposed bylaw? Not seeing any? I now will call for any final submissions for those who feel they have not had the opportunity to fully participate in this public hearing. Not seeing anybody? This public hearing for bylaw 2024-10 is concluded. No further submissions will be accepted. Bylaw 2024-11, Kayleen?
Thank you through the chair. Bylaw 2024-11 is submitted again by Adam Thompson on behalf of JBP Enterprises to reclassify a 2.84 hectare or 7 acre parcel from Agricultural District 2 to Country Residential District 2. In this case, the existing title is 140.7 acres in size and is located within the southeast of 412-4 west of the 4th. If the land use amendment is approved, then the applicant's intent is to apply to the Planning Commission for subdivision approval to create one separate title. The property is located along Range Road 43, 900 meters south of Highway 1, and 4.5 kilometers east of the hamlet of Dunmore. Both the proposed reclassification and the remainder of the agricultural title gain direct access from Range Road 43, and there are no oil or gas wells within 100 meters. The proposed reclassification area is currently vacant, while the remainder of the agricultural title contains dry land pasture. There is an existing multi-parcel subdivision located directly to the south. The proposed reclassification and subdivision would be the final title eligible to be subdivided from the parcel, and the parcel is located outside of the tri-area IDP boundary. And Leslie Ann's pulled up the adjacent landowner map for us once again. Thank you, Leslie Ann. The South Saskatchewan Regional Plan once again states that the municipalities are to identify agricultural land and limit fragmentation and conversion to non-agricultural uses. And it promotes approaches to reduce the amount of land taken up by permanent or long-term development by utilizing the minimum amount of land necessary. Section 4.1.23 subdivision residential once again states that the county may support the subdivision of an existing farmstead or single vacant parcel if the parcel is redistricted to the appropriate residential use, it conforms to the applicable land use bylaw, the parcel complies with the Cypress County design guidelines and construction standards, the subdivision does not impact or hinder the agricultural use on the balance of the quarter, and that the parcel has direct access to a municipal road network. Alberta Transportation replied that the department expects that the municipality will comply with any items in the Alberta Land Stewardship Act, if applicable, and that they expect that we will mitigate impacts of traffic generated by developments approved on the local road connections. At the time of writing this report, no comments or objections were received from any adjacent landowners. And therefore, Mr. Chairman, our recommendation is approval, as the proposal complies with the agricultural strategy of the South Saskatchewan Regional Plan, as well as Section 4.123 residential of the Municipal Development Plan.
Thank you, Kayleen. Is there any questions for the planner on this one? Keith?
To the chair, this parcel would have its own driveway onto the access road. Is that correct?
Through the chair, that's correct. So at the time of the subdivision application, once again, we'll circulate to Public Works. They'll comment whether or not a new approach is necessary, or if there happens to be an existing approach, does it need to be improved to meet standard? But it will have its own individual access drive.
Is there plans down the road to subdivide this again into 2 or 3 lots, or is this going to be one entire lot?
As it sits currently, this would be the final title that's eligible to be subdivided. Again, if we're looking at grouped country residential or multi-parcel subdivisions, 4 or more lots, that constitutes one title out of a quarter section, but we have to have continuity of servicing, right? So any multi-parcel subdivision that's a continuation of what's to the south has to be accessed from the same service road. It has to have the same water connection. So in essence, that would more than likely limit any future subdivision under the current municipal development plan.
Any other questions? Not seeing any. Are there any comments from anyone for or against the proposed bylaw? Not seeing anyone. I now will call for any final submissions for those who feel they have not had the opportunity to fully participate in the public hearing. Not seeing anyone. The public hearing for bylaw 2024-11 is concluded and no further submissions will be accepted. Okay, I need a motion to close the public hearing. Lloyd? Any questions on the public hearing? Vote. That's carried. Okay, we'll move on to minutes. Everybody read them? Richard's moving the minutes. You bet. Any questions on them? Not seeing any. Vote. It's carried. 5.1. Steve?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a land use amendment that we just heard from in public hearing. It is changing from A2 to CR2 in the Northeast 412-4. The recommended motion is that council move both second and third reading of bylaw 2410.
Thank you, Steve. And can I get a motion for second reading? Richard, anybody have any questions or comments on it? Not seeing any. Vote. carried. Shane's moving third. Any questions? Vote. That's carried. 5.2, Steve.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Another land use amendment. Again, A2 to CR2 to District CR2. This is one is in the southeast of 412-4. That the recommended motion for council is that council move second and third reading of bylaw 2024-11.
Thank you, Steve. Can I get a motion for second reading, Robin? Second. Any questions on it? Vote. It's carried. Michelle's moving third reading. Any questions? Vote. It's carried. 5.3, Steve.
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. The next item is bylaw 2024-14. It's the council procedural bylaw. At the May 7th meeting, council directed administration to bring back the procedural bylaw to allow for the recorded vote, well, not for a recorded vote, but to have it available on our video stream during council meetings. The bylaw is following, and it shows the updated changes. And a recommended motion is for all three readings.
Lloyd's moving first reading. Any questions? I just want to verify, it's not for a recorded vote, it's for it to be on the screen at all times as we're YouTubing.
Yep, for clarity, administration has worked towards a procedure to have that, those votes display through the video stream, but it's not for recorded votes in the minute, that's correct.
Just clarifying. Yeah. Any questions or comments? Vote. Carried. Keith is moving second reading. Questions? Vote. Carried. Blaine's moving to have third reading. Vote. Is it carried? Okay. Richard's moving third reading. Vote. Sorry, guys, your hands are going up so fast. I'm just. That's carried. Yeah, got wings. Put it all in your coffees. Yeah. 6.1, Steve?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Lighthearted statement. You guys are clipping along so good. I'm having a tough time flipping my pages that fast. So up before you is the April 2024 capital budget update. Recommended motion is that council receive the April 2024 capital budget update for information. I'd like to point out it's on the second page of that report, page 50, under roads and bridges. The second bullet point, I just want to show something I missed. It says that that ISL was currently working on the design. We've moved on from that, and 5 bids were received. Our Director of Public Works does a very wonderful job in his CAO report identifying and setting the record straight on that one.
Thank you.
Which one was that?
Under
Through the chair, it was Roads and Bridges' second bullet. That has an update, well described in the CAO report.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions on the? Shane?
Yes, under machinery and equipment fleet, the 2 graders ordered as part of the 2023 budget are expected in spring of 2024. Spring is coming to a close here pretty soon. Have they arrived, or are they coming, or what's the scoop?
One of them has arrived, and we're waiting on the second one. Should be within a week, through Chair.
Mike?
Yeah, I have a follow-up question with that, with Public Works. Just wondering if, did it come into all the specs, everything was right that was ordered, and so the next one should be good too?
Through the chair, excuse me. We spent a lot of time specifying exactly what we wanted through the bid process, so it has come as per our expectations. So the second one will be the same.
Steve?
Yeah, through the chair. So just a little bit more information. When we spec out the purchase of the piece of equipment, it has a very detailed list, and there'll be a contract that we sign, an agreement. And then when that machine lands, we go back through that agreement and make sure every nut and bolt's part of that package, yeah, when we receive it, yeah.
That was just my question, to make sure that it arrived as ordered.
Any other questions? Keith?
So that, to the chair, the two graders that were approved in 2024 capital budget, they are anticipated to arrive this summer then? Just clarifying that.
Through the chair, that was anticipated that they will arrive this summer. So I guess it's summer till, what is it, September 20th? I got my seasons wrong, but so anytime before then will likely. It sounds like the supply chain's caught up and they're able to provide things a little bit more timely, yeah.
Any other questions? Michelle?
Through the chair, the work that's going on at the lift station in Schuler. I've been getting some questions about it, so just can I have a little bit of an update on that, please?
Through the chair, as far as the percentage complete, we're probably at about 90%. We're still working through the commissioning of the pumps, and we got some bugs and glitches in there to, part of the commissioning is having our utilities guys out there with them and then running things and doing some dry runs and making sure it all performs as expected. So the remaining work around the building, like the approach and the cleanup and paving, there's pavement going in as well. That's still not complete, but is on the list to be complete. So we anticipate within a month they should be completed.
Thank you very much. I've just been getting questions because there's been a flurry of activity out there for the last couple of days. So, thank you.
Any other questions? Not seeing any. Since Shane had the first question, he's moving the capital update.
You got her.
Not seeing any other questions? Vote. That's carried. 6.2, Steve?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before you use the April 2024 operating update, recommended motion here is that council receive the April 2024 operating financial update for information. And we have on hand Finance and Accounting Supervisor Extraordinaire to fill in some blanks for us if necessary.
Where's he? Hey, any questions on the operating? Really? He's not doing that good of a job. Come on, guys.
You can't let me get off that easy, please.
Do you? Perfect. Thank you, Mike. All right.
So I was just wondering about the GFL environmental billing error, what went on with that?
Yeah, through the chair, what ended up happening was, and can help me on this too. Last year, during 2023, There was an error in GFL's bill. It was actually undercharging us. And so this is to make up for the undercharge. So there is, so we're actually catching up, and we should hopefully be done by midsummer.
Well, it's good to see we're nice guys.
Well, yeah.
Everything's calmed down now that the budget's all, you're caught up and
Yeah, through the chair and to everyone, yes, the audit went, I mean, obviously it was quite busy with respect to the asset retirement obligation and so on. I've been in contact with the auditor with respect to the future, how the asset retirement obligation will be calculated on a future basis. And so I'm hoping to meet with him the next couple of weeks with regards to that. Yeah, it's been, it was a tough road to haul, but we got it done and it's into the province, so we're good there.
well, from coming in and watching you do it all in the last few months and seeing the time you put in, council appreciates everything you did to get that straightened out for us. And I know there was a lot of new stuff added on, so thank you very much for all your hard work on that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? We'll let them off since the audit's over now. Good job. Thank you. And Blaine moves that, so vote. It's carried. CAO report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In form of a report, an operational update through the CAO report, or acting in this case, recommended motion is that council approve the acting chief administrative officer report as presented.
Thank you. Any questions? Shane?
Go all the way down to page 86. And I hope the press is listening. Cypress Wind Project. Due to the inaction of the developer, the county had to step in and contract out gravel placement for the roads and all costs back to the developer. It's really sad to see that these so-called great stewards of the land, that they're going to do everything, that they fail to do what they say. It's really disappointing that we have to step in and do it on their part when they come here and sit there and, oh no, we'll do this, we'll do that, we'll do this, we'll do that, and they don't do it. It's very disappointing.
Can't argue with that statement. Any other questions on the, Michelle?
Through the chair, because we are going out there and fixing all these roads for the wind developers now, that's getting billed back to them. Are they paying it?
Through the chair. Hilda project, it went rather well. We had some issues where in the winter and when they weren't on site and where we took over maintenance, so we had to go out and do a repair, emergency repair, and build back, and they paid for that in that situation. As far as the Cypress Wind project, we've been billing back third-party costs and inspection costs all the way through. So this is an area where we've changed to try to recoup some of our costs on this, to try to get full cost recovery. So it's been going well on that part. Just following up with Councillor Hawk's comment on that. We've given them a lot of notice on graveling expectations prior to winter shutdown in the spring. And it just, the timing was, we were seeing more wear and tear on the road. We just had to step in and make a decision to gravel. So that included a lot of communication back and forth. discussions about their security and their commitment to paying the bill. We haven't invoiced for yet because we just started last week. We've got about 5 days left. And so far, yeah, jury's out. We haven't got paid yet for that, but we still have the security for that in place. And there's a lot of documentation and CCing them and keeping them in the loop as well.
Any other questions? Richard?
I just want to say, great job. I really appreciate you letting us, or staff letting us know what's going on out there. And I look over that capital project overview, carryover, et cetera, and it's really good to know where we're at on all these projects. Because when we get talking to the ratepayers and they ask us, it does help us. So great job with the information coming forward.
Steve?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to point something out in the CAO report that's a little bit unusual for a CAO report, but there's a how to get your road removed from Google Maps. Now what's happened in the past, and for those listening at home or those watching this later, we found that Google Maps is kind of an automated type system. We don't know all the ins and outs of how roads go on, but quite often private land will now have directions through private land through Google Maps. So we've taken the steps to prepare a document to provide the public to how to get that road removed.
Perfect. Yep. It's good to know. Any other questions? Not seeing any. Who moved that one? Shane. Okay. Is it- Oh, put his name on it anyhow. Vote. That's carried. Reeve and council reports. Fortunately, we were so busy I didn't get a chance to put it in there, but that's all right. It's been a wild couple of weeks, a lot on the go, a lot of different things. Last week was 3 or 4 different, we did Cypress View, a couple other ones. I've had a few phone calls on people that are interested in some lots over on our corner. They're going to give us another couple of weeks, and then they want to come in and sit down and talk. So that's interesting that that's coming forward already. Few things on, well, ratepayers, probably the same calls you guys all get. So nothing really to bring up there, but I guess that's all I got. I'll make sure there's something more on the next one for you guys. But what? Keith, you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first.
Yep.
Okay, so basically, council and the rec board meeting and a few phone calls, good ones, for help, and was able to redirect, and it's all good, getting some rain, so roads are still really in good shape, and we're all happy.
That's, you're fibbing there.
I could complain about the lack of sunshine.
Yeah, I figured that'd be next. Shane?
Yeah, follow up with what Keith said there about the rain. Whoever did that rain dance did a really, really good job. I reckon. Keep up the good work. Love the rain. Just dealing with some complaints, road complaints because of the rain and the gravel and that, and talked to Public Works, and everything's being looked at, and attended the rec board meeting, and that was about it. Just enjoying the rain.
Blaine?
Yeah, it was me as well. Just attended the regular meetings, the rec board meeting. Everybody's pretty happy in my country, I think, it seems, because of the rain, because I haven't had no complaints. Roads, same as Keith said, seem to be standing up quite well. Had some other issues with the new culvert that's been put in the Elkwater area, but that's been will be taken care of once the weather allows. I guess the only other thing, I've had a couple calls or people looking to donate some money to our Urban Resource Center. They want to be part of that project, and we'll continue to need some money for their programming at that building. So it's nice to see that people are using it and people are willing to take part in it. And other than that, that's it.
Richard?
On Thursday, May 16th, Steve and I met with a lady by the name of Margie Boyens. Margie's involved with one of the local Rotary clubs. She had said that they might be looking for projects that they could participate in Cypress County. They were very, very pleased when they had worked with staff and council on the last two projects, which one of them was the park over by the Dunmore School, and the other one was the asphalt trail that connects City Mesnat along South Boundary Road to Desert Bloom. And we just said if we will keep the doors open and any opportunities that come along, we definitely would like to discuss them. We did talk a little bit about the two playgrounds that we'd like to do an enhancement on in Desert Bloom, and also down the road over at the Dunmore Equestrian Center. They perhaps would like to also talk about a playground. So we told her we could keep the Rotary busy for the next 3 years anyway, so that was really good. And then just regular phone calls. I was quite lucky that the graveling crew was out in my area just before it rained, so my roads are pretty darn good. And met a couple of people, just had coffee, and we talked about various issues, but I've got no serious complaints to bring forward.
Thank you, Richard. Michelle?
Thank you. I had a virtual meeting with Victoria from the Grasslands FCSS to discuss the upcoming meeting that they would like me to speak at. Council, MPC, we also had a Cypress View meeting, and a Shortgrass meeting that the rec board kind of interfered with, but at that meeting, it was about a cargo van, and that I wanted to attend, but it all worked out anyway. They got their van. Have to say thank you to Public Works. On Friday, the day before the long weekend, got a phone call saying that a culvert had collapsed with all this water that we've had, and that the road was extremely dangerous. And I don't know exactly what happened, but the ratepayer was calmed down, so it must have been all good. So thank you very much for that. And other than that, I've had a couple of phone calls about the lift station, which Ken has provided me information on. And I think that's probably about it.
Thank you, Michelle. Robin?
Just the council meetings, the rec board meeting, and a couple meetings up in Edmonton. Other than that, it's been pretty quiet and enjoying the rain.
Lloyd?
It's been quiet for me. I just attended the regular meetings, the MPC and the rec board. I did had a conversation with the Elkwater Community Association, and they wanted to express their thanks to council for the budget. So I'm just passing it on to you.
Thank you. Any questions on the reports? Lloyd's going to move the reports. Vote. That's, oh, yeah. That's carried. Just so everybody knows, Keith's going to be gone for about an hour. He had to run to a funeral, so he asked if he could sneak out for that, so. Yeah, he didn't sneak, he ran. 9.1, Steve.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The next request for decision is surrounding ADM 26, that's our credit card policy where it establishes positions and limits. This came from an internal administrative request where we're finding that more and more vendors are requesting credit cards as opposed to being able to invoice or give terms and that type of thing. IT, software-related things, as well as our well-known satellite internet provider only deal with credit card. And so the policy behind it, and through investigation, it looked like it was about 10 years ago since we updated the rates, and we all know what inflation's done, over those last 10 years. So a bit of a need. So in the policy itself, just a bit of cleanup, renaming some of the positions that have been changed in recent times, and then in the actual amounts. I can give greater information into the reason or purpose for each one of those amounts, but for council's consideration.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Robin?
Thanks, Mr. Eve. Just, I guess I'm looking for clarification, and I have no reason to be concerned about it, but I am curious with regards to the Reeve and Deputy Reeve and the limits. Like, what kind of items would we be purchasing on that? And then is that kind of governed under our purchasing policy somehow with regards to, I know, like, I would be uneasy even having a corporate credit card as a councillor, as an elected official, assuming that there's some kind of protection or accountability with how that goes. I have no reason to not, trust that it's being utilized properly, but I see it as a risk too if we don't at least have, what it's being utilized for and how is it monitored, I guess.
Steve?
If I may, through the chair, under procedures, Section D does hold the holder of the card accountable to the purchasing policies and that type of thing. I'll give you a kind of an experience we've had at an RMA conference a couple years ago. It's actually a very embarrassing story, but I'll tell it anyway. So by the time attending an RMA conference, and very worthwhile, nothing to say about that, but to purchase the hotel rooms and then to purchase a customary meal, we were having credit cards already maxed out. So throughout the year, there's barely any balance at all on them outside of those conferences. But when you go to those conferences, the limits can get quite high, and we're quite often, they can, with these very low credit card amounts, we're spreading them over 3, 4, 5 cards. Yeah.
And I think, speak for myself, all's mine's ever good for is if I'm out with other councillors for the city or something like that, I'll pick up the tab on a meal if we're talking about Cypress County business and that. So I don't think I've ever, the only time, and I was involved in that one, we were all scrambling through credit cards trying to get one to work where we were at. I was like, oh. I ended up paying for it on my own personal credit card and submitted the bill because it was, I just wanted to quit being embarrassed. We were going through too many credit cards. Yeah. Okay, any other comments or questions?
Did our account pay the credit card bill?
I don't know. Guess since Robin asked the question, you're gonna move it? Okay. Any other questions? Vote. It's carried. 9.2, Steve.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, this request for decision, I'm already hearing the jokes, and it's nothing to joke about because we take this very seriously. It's the Seniors Week designation. And so for 39 years, Alberta has celebrated the Seniors Week. It's the first week of June. Our recommended motion to council, that council move to declare June 3rd through 9th, 2024 as Seniors Week in Cypress County to celebrate seniors and their valuable contributions to the county.
Mr. Olster, would you like to move that?
No, I don't want to move it. I'm the old guy. I want a young person to make that motion. Thank you very much.
I'll move it.
Okay, Shane?
So since it falls on a council meeting, or we have to do something special for our senior in here?
You'll remind them, yes.
Remind them to attend?
Any questions on it? Vote. It's carried. 9.3.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Medicine Hat Women's Shelter funding request. Cypress County Council has received a letter from the Women's Shelter requesting support for their shelter expansion. If we were to turn to the letter itself, it's the paragraph prior to the chart. It says, "We are asking for a contribution from Cypress County to help us with the cost of our facility renovations. While we have secured a low-interest loan to proceed with our project, we need support of the county to minimize the amount of debt we incur. This will help us ensure that we can continue to cover operating costs in addition to repaying our loan. Currently, we still need to fundraise 35% of our budget that is not covered by our core Government Alberta funding. Medicine Hat Women's Shelter has always been prudent in our fiscal management, and below is a snapshot of our global budget for the project." Our recommended motion here is that Council direct administration to bring back the Medicine Hat Women's Shelter Society funding request to the 2025 budget deliberations with additional information.
Makes sense. Michelle?
I'm just wondering if this would fall under, if we could use FCSS funding for this.
Michelle, that's an area I'd have to brush up on, or Councillor, that's an area that I would have to brush up on to know if that's eligible.
Something, if you're bringing it back, that's something you can check into to bring it back for.
And through the chair, thank you.
To receive for information if that's what we're doing.
No, it'll be, well, the recommended motion is to bring back for 2025 with more information. So you want to move for the recommended motion? Okay. Robin, did you have anything to comment on?
Just kind of in line with what Councillor McKenzie was suggesting, maybe if we can get a little bit more details on what they're trying to do, we can at least investigate, I guess, the municipal opportunities that would exist that we can bring in, possibly some of these different groups that have grants, whether it be for building, because it sounds like it's a capital project, right? So if it's a building expansion, if there's solar or anything like that, that might open some opportunities as well.
And I'd be interested to see if they had something set up along the lines of that McDonald house where, remember we did a kitchen for, and that was labeled for that. So if there's any possibility of that being involved in it.
And from, when we had them here, Natasha was here for her delegation. She'd kind of showed us some pictures and some idea of what was gonna happen. And in that letter, she's also offered again to come back to council to touch on that. So that could be a request, or even, and I don't think we need a motion, but we could reach back out to them to say kind of what council's expectation is. Yep. Of course.
No, he answered it, that's fine.
Okay. Okay, so Michelle's made the recommended motion. Any other comments? Vote. That's carried. 9.4.
Cruising along, this request for decision is for the Agricultural Services Inspector appointments. The pieces of legislation in play here are the Weed Control Act, the Agricultural Pest Act, and the Soil Conservation Act. So this is a step to give those, the authority to those individuals to implement those parts, or those acts and parts of the act. The recommended motion is that council appoint Kennedy Roeder, Braden Bodine as soil conservation officers under the Soil Conservation Act, and that Kennedy Roeder, Braden Bodine, Noah Urban, Bailey Taylor, Aidan Heller, Ben Vandersloot, Cam Dumanowski, Haley Carfanton, and Agatha Thiessen as weed inspectors under the Control Act and as pest inspectors under the Agricultural Pest Act for the duration of their employment with Cypress County.
Mike?
Yeah, I can make that motion. I think it's good to have these people employed, especially with the rain. Looks like we're probably going to have more weeds, and we'll need them looking after our weed control, along as our pests.
Robin?
Through the chair to our acting CEO, Steve, these positions are hired specifically as weed inspectors? Or, because I'm just, language-wise, I'm wondering if for the duration of their employment might be too restricting. It may be better to state, for the, up until October of 2024. Otherwise, you're basically locking them into that.
Yeah, through the chair, yeah, good point. When they become the acting CAO and they're still inspecting these, no, point taken. I think the intention was that this wasn't brought back time and time again to council, and that was kind of the approach there. But certainly we could have it to the duration of the season, by all means.
That's what it's always been, is just the season, and then every spring you do this.
Yeah, duration of their employment. We could actually just say pest inspectors under the Act, period. Like, we can either have, but for the duration of their employment is probably more language than we need and restricts more than it gives room for. So I would just, who made the motion for that originally?
Blaine did.
Okay.
So what do you want to take out?
I'm just saying that we could, so it would basically, and pest inspectors under the Agriculture Pest Act, period. We don't need to say for the duration of their employment with Cypress County. That.
You good? Go ahead.
Well, I think it should be left the same, because these people are seasonal and they may not be involved with this next year. So it should be just with the employment of Cypress County, and then next year, if there's different people, then we have to approve different people.
Yeah, but if they stay on in the fall and we want to move them into something else, it creates complications. It actually, this doesn't empower anybody the way that it's written. It puts restriction on and just wouldn't be necessary.
It appoints them, but I don't see what the difference is, because it's just the duration of their employment, whether it goes into the fall or not. Once they're done, once they're let go in the fall, they're done.
Les?
To Councillor Kirby-White's point, these employees do other things other than just the inspectors. So even though they are appointed this, they still carry out other duties for Cypress County, but it's neither here nor there.
It's just so if they're on for the next 4 or 5 summers, they don't have to bring this back in for them to be on again. They're just always on. Steve?
And Councillor Kirby, just for clarification, when you're asking that question, what I heard, so let's say if there was an agricultural summer student, a seasonal employee that perhaps was hired for a different role in the organization, in I guess purchasing, right? Now they may hold a purchasing position at the county, but it still says that they're a weed inspector. That's kind of what I heard from what you.
Yeah, it's basically just along the lines of this way right here. If they stay on for 3 or 4 years, we might end up with a list of 25 weed inspectors and only 5 of them inspect weeds. That's all. And so.
So perhaps I would recommend to council in that motion, or at least for consideration. Do you mind just pop up half a page, Les? No, that's all good. So under the pest, so it says the pest inspection under the Agricultural Pest Act for the duration of their agricultural employment with Cypress County. So while they're employed in ag, this wouldn't have to come back to council.
Good with that? Is it friendly? Okay. The way Steve said it. Does everybody understand what he said?
Say that again, Steve.
Yeah. For agriculture.
So right in between there and employment, we would insert the word agricultural, meaning if they were part of agricultural services, that they would continue to have these appointments. And if they got hired outside of agricultural services, that would cease.
Okay. Blaine's moving that with the addition of agriculture.
As amended.
Yeah. Good? Vote. That's carried. 9.5.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So 9.5 on page 114 of your agenda. This came from the May 2015 Recreation Board meeting, where the Recreation Board cannot make amendments to the budget, however, council can, so it's back in front of council. Items that were discussed were funding the Dunmore Community Association in the amount of $14,985, and to the Elkwater Community Association in the amount of $35,350, to be funded from the, for the 2024 rec projects funded from the Community Aggregate Payment Fund.
Lloyd is moving that. Any questions on it? I think we, go ahead.
So these are the only two that we discussed that we left to put on the cap funding then, obviously? Yeah. The rest stayed in rec funding
Stayed or got taken off, or
or whatever?
these are the two that were left over.
Okay.
I'm just wondering if it makes sense just to, for those that are watching, just to explain why, just the fact that we felt when we were reviewing the rec funding requests that these were better suited within the CAP project for funding sources.
They fit under that guideline. They fit under that guideline of cap. Any other questions or comments? Not seeing any? Vote. That's carried. Okay, we're gonna go in closed here, so we'll take a 5-minute break before we go in closed. Go on there, senior. Waiting for the seniors. Yeah.
I'm ready.
You okay there, old timer? I'm good. All right, Richard's making a motion to go in camera.
Okay.
Vote. Okay. Okay. Okay, no, that's good. Okay, so, 10.4, Les, you wrote the motion for that one? That's median.
That council does not allocate funding for the irrigation feasibility study for the Meridian Irrigation Project, nor engage in the project.
Perfect, thank you. You want to make that?
I made that, yeah.
Blaine's making that? Vote? That's carried. What other one do we need next? I didn't.
So 10.4, discussed in closed session that council accept the offer to purchase plan block and lot as discussed in closed session.
Right. Yep. Okay, the motion is to accept the offer on the land. Vote?
You want the motion made? I'll make that.
Oh, yeah.
I'll make the motion.
Richard's making the motion, sorry. Yeah, this will finally be his right one.
Shane should have no trouble on this one.
Yeah.
Probably screw up.
Got this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is not carried. Now we have a written motion for that one.
That council direct administration to hire a consultant to prepare an RFQ for the sale of land located at Plan 1612683 as with the conditions discussed during the closed session.
Okay, thank you. Lloyd's making that. Vote. That's carried. 10.5 to accept the ICM minutes. We don't. Well, I thought we did need a motion for that, because then it. Yeah. Keith is moving those. Vote. Richard.
We did, but then they cleared it and put another one up there.
Oh, sorry, I was taking some notes here.
Okay, that's carried. 10.6 is carried over to next council meeting. 10.7, do we need one on that?
Mr. Chair, if we could, the recommended motion here is that council accept the emergency services report on the joint venture with Halo Air Ambulance and schedule the press release for June 4th.
Michelle's making that. Vote. That's carried. All right, we had just about as many motions coming out of in-camera as we did in the regular. That's it. That's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. Meeting adjourned. Could have been faster if there wasn't so